It's time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hey guys, what's up? You're watching Up and Adam. My name's Adam Knoll. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm the guy bringing you guys the weekly interviews from your favorite celebrities and pop culture influencers. But for those of you who do know me, you know that that's not why we're always here. Just kidding. That's actually exactly why we're here today. Today we're here to talk with one of my favorite cast members from one of Bravo's newest hit series, Family Karma. Without further ado, guys, let's jump right in with Amrit from Bravo's hit series, Family Karma. Hi, Amrit. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me today. So, Amrit, for anyone who hasn't been paying attention to Bravo or had something better to do during this pandemic, which I don't know what that would be, but if they missed Bravo's new hit series, Family Karma, can you give us a little bit about your backstory, where you're originally from?
Yeah, totally. So I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. I grew up there. My parents moved there from India in the late 70s and have been there ever since. And I grew up in a pretty close-knit community of other types of other Indians that were the same type as I am and my family is. So as you can imagine, coming from India, they didn't know anyone in the country, so they naturally gravitated towards other Indians. And that's how sort of my childhood group of friends developed, like Vishal and Anisha and Sean and Monica. So Family Karma kind of just follows our lives. We're a set of childhood friends that grew up together and have known each other for decades, and our parents have known each other for even longer than that. So Family Karma basically just sort of follows our lives, our personal lives, our professional lives, and just kind of shows what we're all about.
Which was really interesting because you guys were one of the first reality TV shows that covers Indian culture, right?
Yeah, we were the first ones, actually. I don't know, 2020 feels like the year of Indian reality TV. I don't know if you've seen some of the other shows that came out.
On Netflix.
Yeah, we had Mindy's show, Never Have I Ever, and then we had the Indian Matchmaking, which was more recent. But Family Karma, we were the first ones, so we were the first full Indian cast.
That's awesome. And I think the really cool thing about your guys' show is that you're multi-generational. So it's really fun to see you guys interact with your parents, your grandparents, the aunties, and kind of see how everybody works together. It really is. It's totally different. And I think that's what works about your show is it's not like you're casting from outside sources different people to put them together in a room and force it to work. It's just very much so organic.
Yeah, no, it's great, and like it's fun to see the dynamic, and I hope that viewers really enjoy seeing the dynamic because you see like not only my interactions with my own mom and my dad and my grandmother, but you'll see my interactions with Vishal's mom, you know, who was always like a second mom to me growing up, to see how that plays out. So all of it is really organic, which made the show just really exciting to work on.
Yeah. And then also you mentioned before that your parents were a little bit nervous for you to be on the show and kind of have your storyline play out about, you know, being gay and being in the Indian community. Do your parents, now that it's obviously premiered, do they still feel that way?
Yeah, so I was out to my immediate circle of friends and my sort of immediate family, but prior to the premiere of Family Karma and Family Karma airing on TV, my sort of extended family didn't know, and my parents' extended circle of friends and their extended network. So I think they were a little nervous about that because this would sort of be my announcement to the world.
What a way to announce, though, you know?
that I was gay. So, and then a lot of this, I had cousins reach out to me from Delhi and Dubai and Hong Kong. So it really was like the announcement to a lot of my cousins who maybe I hadn't spoken to in a while. They probably didn't know that I'd come out. So they were nervous, but I think they reached a point, and it's been a work in progress, but I think they reached a point where they knew I wanted to do this, and they knew that I would need their help and their support, and they've just always been so supportive. So they jumped on board and they said, you know what, we'll deal with the consequences or the repercussions. And we didn't really have any sort of negative reactions, but they said, we'll deal with it together once it airs.
I love that. I had a totally different approach. I have 11 brothers and sisters, so I just sent Yeah, it's crazy. I sent a group text to everybody and I was like, hey guys, sorry if you didn't know already. Sorry you missed the signs. I'm gay. Turned the phone off and I went and had a bottle of wine because it was terrible.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's great.
I tell people, man, coming out, it sucks, right? It's not fun. It is just so stressful. But I did the same thing. I sort of came out and then I left the country for like 6 months and studied in Shanghai and like completely reinvented myself, recreated myself. But we all have our quirky, personal, strategic ways of doing it. So I totally get that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, Nicholas, we're still together, yeah?
Still together.
We're not married yet.
No, we're not married.
Are we getting married?
I don't know. We'll have to see. We're still together. I decided to quarantine with him. So I spent a lot of time in Chicago this year with everything that happened after March. And I will say quarantining with one person is a lot, and
you don't have to tell me.
A lot of couples would say that. It's a lot of time together, It's not like I'm going to the office, he's a teacher and going to school. Like we're both at home all the time. So, I mean, there are points of like contention, We have the dog, which is a great diffuser. I mean, having an animal during quarantine was amazing. But yeah, no, we're still together. Whether there's marriage, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Time will tell.
So, okay, that's fair. If there were to ever be marriage involved, would you ever how sometimes we have our limits when we decide to be on these reality TV shows? Would you let the cameras into something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would want them to capture every part of my life, and getting married and having a wedding would be one of the most memorable parts of my life. So yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Awesome. And then also, I guess, just because we're on the whole family karma topic, when you found out that you were going to be a part of the show, I'm just curious, what was that moment like for you? Because that had to have been like, oh, wow, things are about to change a little bit.
Yeah, it's weird. It's hard to explain, Adam, because every step of the way just felt like this dream, and almost like, and I would joke with the other cast members all the time. And I'd text and be like, this is a big practical joke, right? Like, when are we going to be told that this was just MTV's like punked and none of this is actually happening? But everything kept happening and everything kept falling into place. And it was such a perfect match. I mean, the network was fantastic. They've been phenomenal, and the production company. And I don't know, we finally like fast forwarded to like the premiere party and seeing ourselves on TV, and we're like, holy shit, this actually happened, like this is it. So you don't believe it at first, but then you slowly start coming around to it and you're like, okay, this is actually happening.
Your first time filming, was that weird for you? Was it second nature? I mean, how was that? Because I asked Bali and she was like, no, it was second nature. I felt like I was like right at home with, and I was like, of course you did.
Well, Bali's made for the cameras. We all know that. So it took a little bit getting used to. I mean, you have cameras sort of in your face. You have people listening to what you're saying. And you try to be as normal as possible. And at the beginning, it's kind of weird. It's an adjustment for sure. But I mean, day after day after day, week after week, you totally get used to that. I mean, you become way more natural. You kind of just forget that they're there and you just have conversations. And I think once you realize that you need to forget that the cameras are there, then you have these really honest, open conversations, things that you may not necessarily would have talked about, had there not been a camera in front of you or reality TV being produced. It really forces you to like confront things that you may not want to confront about your life,
And then you have to go back. I think this is the crazy part, and I think I hear this more than anything in these interviews, is that people say, like, when we film, we have to live through this moment, and it's still very much real in that moment. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, when it airs, we have to relive this moment. Yeah. So if it was great, it's great. If it was awful, it's just like, shit.
Yeah, you really you relive the moments when you're watching it on TV, and then you also kind of see what everyone else was up to, you know, because you don't necessarily know, like I didn't know what Vishal was doing all the time if he was doing stuff on his own. So you kind of see what other people were up to, what kind of issues they were going through that you might not have known about at the time. So it gives you like this full picture of what was going on in your life at that very moment. In our heads, we know what's going on in right here. And, you know, in Amrit's life, in Amrit's head, my emotions, my reactions, but you don't really get like this global view of what's going on around you with other people. And this is kind of cool because the TV show gives you that all around perspective of like what was happening simultaneously. Like what was Anisha thinking? You know, what was Bali doing? What was she thinking about that dinner versus what I was thinking about that dinner, you know?
That's it. And it's probably really fun to go back and watch, or when the confessionals play. Yeah, that's a great way to.
Exactly.
That's a great way to think about it.
Sure. Yeah.
If we did get a second season, fingers crossed, to Family Karma, and we were to bring on new castmates, would you just start reaching into other families that are within the Indian community, within your guys' friendships that you guys haven't tapped into yet? I mean, that would be so interesting to pull from.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you honestly, Adam. I have no idea how that would work. We're hopeful, you know, we're optimistic that there's a season 2, but in terms of how it would move forward, I have no idea.
I would love to see another non-anti-Bali come in there that was kind of like, you know, that butt heads a little bit with our favorite Bali, you know, that would be fun too.
Exactly.
But all right. So with that being said, now that obviously the show's come out and everything, we're still very much so in the pandemic, but off and on with quarantine. I know that South Florida has opened and closed and all of that too, kind of like LA, I guess. But how has it been now after the show's aired? Do you feel like you're getting noticed more? Do you feel like you're getting a little bit more? I mean, is it different at all?
Yeah, it's totally, I mean, life has changed. Putting aside like the influx of social media, you know, followers and people, you know, noticing you on social media. One thing that was really great about life changing after the show was that I had a ton of people reach out to me and come out to me or, you know, express what they were going through, whether it was their sexual orientation or gender identity issues. And I thought that was phenomenal. Like to open up to someone that you don't really know about such private life matters is just fantastic. So that outpour of just someone trusting me with such information was, it was really, it was just, it was welcomed. So that was great. And then again, on the streets, people have recognized me. In fact, I was biking the other day and I was like stopped at a traffic light trying to make a left turn. And this woman was on the other side of the street and she was like yelling out, "Oh my God, Amrit from Family Karma." And I was like trying to say hi to her and she was trying to have a conversation with me, but I was also trying to make a left turn into like oncoming traffic.
You're like, I don't want to get hit.
Yeah, I was like trying to just wave at her, but like also, yeah, not get hit. But there have been a handful of people that have been recognizing me on the streets. But again, we aired when the country had just shut down. So it was a really weird time. Like no one was out and about. We didn't really do any sort of watch parties because we all were staying home, you know, and being responsible.
That has to be weird for your show to, it's just the weirdest time for you. I talked to one of the housewives of Beverly Hills, Sutton, and she said the same thing. She's like, it's my first time ever putting myself out there for a TV show or something like that. And as soon as it airs, the whole country shuts down. This isn't how I necessarily imagined it. But it has to be kind of weird for you too, because people start getting invested into your lives, your storylines, your relationship. It's weird. That's weird.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to. I don't mind it. And I always make it a point to respond to people on Instagram, and especially if someone sends me like a heartfelt message, I always respond because I'm still a nobody. I'm still Amrit Kapai, you know, from Miami. So there's no reason for me to have a chip off my shoulder and be like, I'm not going to respond. Like I always just make sure that I know people, that I tell people I've read their message and I appreciate their words. And a lot of them have been such positive messages, like tons and tons of support and love. So all much appreciated.
We'll have to circle back after season 2 and you're going to be like, No, damn it. I'm Amrit Kapai. Like, listen, like if you message me, I don't have time for this. You know, like we'll have a totally new version.
Direct them to PR. You can talk to my.
Yeah. No, but okay. With that being said, I do know that you're limited on time, so I do have 3 more questions for you. One, it's going to put you on the spot a little bit, but if there's something you can think of that we don't get to see on cameras, what would one thing that we don't know about you be?
That's a good question, Adam. And actually, I had someone reach out to me, and this was one of the more not as positive reactions. And I guess you saw Amrit after he had come out many years ago, and after he was way more confident and way more comfortable in his skin. And one thing you didn't get to see was the Amrit who was not as confident and who was very insecure. And who was closeted and who was angry at the world and angry at himself. And you didn't get to see that, probably for the best. But I wanted people to know that everything you saw with my parents, all of their support and acceptance, it wasn't overnight. It was a work in progress, and it was a slow but steady path, that they took. So unfortunately, it's hard to show all of that in a show, because the show focuses on your current life. It doesn't really focus on your life 8 years ago, but that doesn't mean that didn't happen. So I just wanted people to know that, like, even if they're coming out right now and it's not the best situation with their families at home, I went through the same thing, the same struggle, but it really does get better, hopefully. And you just got to stay really positive and optimistic about it.
Nice. All right. And then question number 2, aside from Family Karma, what would your other favorite TV show on Bravo be?
Aside from Family Karma, it's got to be the Shahs,
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, their energy and their, large lifestyles, it's entertaining. I think they're so fantastic.
Oh, they got so messy this reunion.
Yeah,
too.
they did.
Gigi stoned the whole time.
Yeah, probably. She took the back seat this time around. It looked like.
Yeah, and it was funny to watch her, because as you watch her in the reunion, she starts off like this and she's ready to go, and slowly more and more she just gets more like closed-eyed, and Andy's like, "Gigi, are you high?" She's like, "What?"
Yeah, she had her sunglasses on.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, Shahs of Sunset. And then do we have a favorite housewife?
Oh, Nene for sure.
Nene Leakes?
She's my number one. She's hilarious. She just cracks me up. She's so confident. She's such a queen. I love her. I
love Nene Leakes too. I had a really bad run-in with her one time at Mastro's. I went to a party that I wasn't supposed to, but anyways, got super wasted. Introduced myself like 3 times to her, and she's like, "Damn it, you've already come over here and said hi." I think I was like 21. This was like 5 or 6 years ago, but yeah, it was a bad experience.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, okay. And last but not least, before I let you go, what are you looking forward to most after this pandemic is over?
After this pandemic? Gosh, just celebrating things that we weren't able to celebrate, during the pandemic, whether it was a birthday or a wedding or an engagement or graduation, all of these moments are big moments in your life, and you should still celebrate them, even if it's a year later. And just to go back to normal, people are suffering, and I hate that people are suffering, and I hate that people are dying. So just going back to a world where COVID isn't sort of ruining everything.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining me today. And you are awesome. I really appreciate your time. I know you have somewhere to be in 9 minutes. So
yeah, totally.
Thank you.
Awesome. No
You're
worries.
The best.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching Up and Adam.